All right, YouTube. So if this goes well, I should be able to get through the remaining questions, the Form B math questions of the 2022-2023 SHSAT Handbook. Yeah, which means we've gone through all the math questions on the Form A as well. And by the way, these are linked through my website at GregsTutoringNYC.com/SHSAT-handbook-reviews. SHSAT Handbook Reviews from there. Okay. All right, let's jump into this. So we're going to start with question number, let me see, let me find the tab here. Question number 74. Guys need to email me, just in case you don't know, Greg from GregsTutoringNYC. You can hit me up at GregsTutoringNYC@gmail.com. How could it be easier? All right, 74. So this one wasn't quite a rate question per se, but that's our deal. It still involves breaking things down at a certain point. So James must read 84 pages of a book for a class assignment. If he reads 1/4 of the pages in the morning, right? So that's our first task, is to solve that. And then 1/3 of the remaining pages in the afternoon, that's our second task. How many pages we still have to read? Okay. So basically, he's going to read 84 divided by 4 in the morning. So we get 42, and divide that again, we get 21. So he reads 21 pages. So therefore, we have to do now is subtract those 21 pages off, because we need to figure out what's remaining, right? So I'm going to get 3, we're going to get 43 if I did this right. And I didn't do it right, that's 63. All right, so that we accomplished task number 1. And number 2 is he's going to do 1/3 of the remaining pages after that. So we basically have 63 over 3, and that's equal to 21. All right, okay, so we need to do now, do that same process again and do 63 minus 21, right? And we get 42. So the answer to that is F. That's pretty straightforward. It's just literally following what they're saying. This thing where they're doing the fractions, there's really no multiplication. There's nothing else going on here. He has this set before him. Take off the part he reads, subtract it off, take off the next part he reads, subtract it off. 92. All right, so this one has an illustration. It's kind of slightly different, but reading assignments, we have certain pages were assigned in each respective assignment. I don't know where they're going with this at all. So over a 2-week period, students are assigned a total of 250 pages to read from a science textbook. The table above shows the first 3 assignments within a larger assignment. What percentage of the 250 pages is the total number of pages in these 3 assignments? So this is the normal gotcha where, for instance, if it was page 1 through 2, we normally do 2 minus 1, we get 1, and we have to add that 1 to the end, right? We know there's 2 pages here, and it's worth doing little experiments like these when you solve problems. So 3 through 17 is not 17 minus 3 is 14, right? We want to be able to go further than that. And instead we get 14 plus 1, or 15, right? So that would be 15 pages. Same for here. This is 38 minus 25. That gives us 13, which means we have to add that 1 to get 14. And then this is 15, but we add the 1 and we get 16. If we add these up, we get 30, 45. Okay, that should be our total. So what basically all they're asking us is, what is 45 out of 250. Okay, I can take 250 and divide it into 45, or we can just go faster. Divide 5 into this, we get 9. Divide 5 into this, we get 50. If I multiply it by 2 over 2, because I want 100 at the bottom, I get 18. All right? If you want to do 250 into 45, definitely do that. And make sure you get the 18 again. You're going to get 0.18 in that case. Okay? That's worth doing just to make sure your double checking is right. These page counts, since the answer is 18, then H is probably out the window. It's probably G as well. But these are close enough that you want to make sure that you do these page counts right. Okay? And it does not ask for rounding here. So if you're getting an answer that's like 17.5% or something, you're most likely doing it wrong because I just showed you how to do it, but that's most likely what the deal is there. So this is just making sure you're doing the percentage right, and that off by 1 error. That's constant. This is about your math proficiency. That's the way it goes. So that's 92. Again, these are not too bad. 106. Okay, so this is a standard question that comes up. It's probably going to come up about 1 time. Okay, so what we have is something's a certain size, and the manufacturer allows a variation of minus 2.5 or plus 2.5. So if we have a certain length, it can wiggle to be length plus something or length minus something. Okay, so that's something they're telling us is 2.5%. Okay, so which interval shows the range of acceptable thicknesses in millimeters? So obviously the answer, the range has to be less than 0.38 to something greater than 0.38. All right. So if it's not that, so what we actually need to do is figure out what this 2.5% is, right? And 2.5% means 2.5 over 100, or, right, if we move this once, we move it twice, right? So we get 0.025. All right, so what we want to do is take that 0.025 because that's our delta, that's our tolerance, right? And we're going to multiply it by 38. 0.38. All right, so let's go through that. 8 times 5 is 40, 0, 4, 16, and we get 20. Okay, and then 3 times the 25 gives us 75 here. Okay, so if we add that up, we get 0, 5, 9. Okay, and then we have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our delta there is 0.0095. We can throw away this trailing 0 here. All right, so that's our delta. That means that this question mark here was that. So what we basically have to do is 0.38 minus 0.0095 through 0.38 plus the 0.0095. All right. All right. So the only one on the high range, because I don't want to do the subtraction, seems to be G, because 0.38 plus 0.0095, that's the only one that matches. Right. And if you think it through, right, if we do 0.38, where's a good space for this? Up here. 0.38 minus 0.0095. So that we're going to add 2 zeros here and then do the subtraction. All right. So we need to borrow. So that becomes a 7. This becomes a 1, right? 95 from the 100 is 0.05 that way. but then we don't care about that point. We drop it down, and then we get the 3.3705. So the subtraction works out as well, and we get G for there. All right, so this is just computationally annoying, one of those kind of questions. And this one's hard to guess. At least I personally find it hard to guess what the answer choice would have been. That said, they all have 0.38 inside their range. All right. Right. 0.38 is in the middle between E. It's in the middle between F. It's in the middle between H. So we can't use that as one of the ways to rule out stuff. And this is one of those questions again where the sanity check is kind of hard to do. Although from here to here, 0.28 to 0.38 is just too large. That's about 10%. So they're only talking about a delta of 2.5%. So most likely that's not going to be it. F gets a little closer, but it's still not there. And H gets even tighter, but it's not quite there. And the tiebreaker between G and H is so tight, it can kind of get ridiculous. All right, that's 106. So for that reason, this question is hard. It just requires that ugly multiplication here, and even the subtraction I did here over here. All right, we don't want to have to deal with that. 108, I think, is the next one. All right, so this is really a percent one that I kind of skipped earlier. This is both easy and hard. It's easy because it's just adding percents. It's hard because of the way this question is worded. So a clothing store buys shirts for the cost of $N each. So a shirt is $M, okay? And to determine the selling price of the shirt, the manager increases the purchase price by 55%. So that means it's 55%. It's not just M plus 55, which is H, right? Because it's 55% of the selling price of the shirt, and the purchase price of the shirt was M. So it has to at least be that, right? M plus 0.55 M. But that turns out to be what G is. And in fact, G is the answer for that reason. All right. So F is that's the increase. F is the increase. But they asked for the selling price. They didn't ask for the increase. So that's out. And E is just 1 minus F. And again, they didn't ask for that either. So E and F are both out for that reason. So be careful with these. It's M plus, right? 0.55 of M. Or another way to look at it is it's 100% of M, which is 1M or just M, plus 55% of M, right? So that's how many M's we have. We have 155% M. And percent means divided by 100, so we got 1.55 over 100, right? M. But they're asking us which represents the price. So that's exactly what we're going to get. By the way, I just said 1.55%. That's not correct. Okay, it's 155 over 100, and that's equal to 1.55. All right, so I made an erroneous statement. I'm correcting it. All right, so 108 is that. So again, 108 is not hard. It's just understanding what they're asking you, which again makes it hard. So it's a circular, it's oxymoronish. Okay, so that's 108. 111. Along the same kind of lines here. This one is not quite a percent one, but it involves some geometry really. If you wanted to, a niece has a piece of cloth measuring 45 inches. 45 inches by 75 inches. Okay. She wants to cut into squares of equal size. So this is an equal size kind of question. Without any cloth left over. What is the greatest possible side length in inches? So that's inches, that's inches, that's inches. No unit conversion of one of those squares. So what we really want to find here is the greatest common factor. So we can set up 45 if it hasn't leaped out to you what the answer is, and 75, right? And we can divide by 3 here. So we get 15 and 25. And we can then divide by 5. So we get 3 and 5. There's nothing common to them anymore. And then we just multiply that out and we get 15. So that's our GCF. That's what they're asking for here. This was sort of a hint by emphasizing greatest, but they could also ask what's the least to greatest or something. So the bold-facing greatest does not mean that that's what's going on there. But there's certain questions that they're going to ask that involves the LCM or the GCF, where you kind of have to be like, oh, they're asking for a GCF here, that kind of a thing. Just keep that in the back of your mind and be able to move it in the front of your mind when you need to grab for it. Okay, so that's 111. That's really all they're asking for there. This isn't too bad. It may have leaped out at you that 45 and 75, 15 is underneath there. It's times 3 for the 45 and it's times 5 for the 75. And that's the two numbers we ended up with here. All right, right? 15 times 3 gives the 45, and 15 times 5 gives the 75. So we're cool and we're awesome. And we lived happily ever after. There's one more. Nope, there's 2 more questions. 112. The table below shows the number of birds that came to a bird feeder on Monday and Tuesday. Nothing too deep right here. What is the percent decrease in the number of birds from Monday to Tuesday? All right. So this is one of those things where we can do a whole bunch of different computations, but basically it's new minus old over the old. Right? They asked for a percent increase from Monday to Tuesday. Okay. So what we're going to get is if you using the terminology they're saying here, we basically have Monday minus Tuesday over Tuesday. No, sorry, over Monday. That's basically what I'm doing. So we have 30 minus 24 over the 30, and that is going to give us 6 over 30. All right. And if we want, that's equal to 1/5. And if we want to go back into hundreds, times 20 times 20, and we get 20%. Okay. You could have divided 5 into 1. You could divide 30 into 6, right? But that's what they're asking us to do. And if we apply that 20% to the 30, 1/5 of 30 is 6, right? And then 30 minus 6 gives us the 24. Again, not too bad here, not too deceptive, really. All right. And then finally, 114 is the last question. It's kind of ugly, at least I find it is. And it's probably among the hardest of the so-called simpler questions, or at least of the straight arithmetic questions. And by this percent increase and percent decrease stuff, you always have to watch out for something. So we're going to talk about that. A store manager purchases a piece of furniture for $456. To determine the selling price, the manager increases the purchase price, increases the cost, the purchase cost by 125%. So this is the gotcha. Okay, a customer buys the furniture and pays an additional 8% sales tax. Okay, how much does the customer pay for the furniture? All right, so the gotcha is that this is not 125% of 456. This is similar to that M example early, and I think there was another one too. It's the original purchase price plus 125% of the purchase price, right? To determine the selling price, right? A manager purchases something for a certain amount of money. The manager then increases the purchase cost by 125%. The cost is $456. So they're not just adding 25% on it, right? That's a lot of you are going to do 25% of 456 and add that on, and you probably end up getting ERF, right? And for that reason, the answer can't be ERF, right? It's not 25%. It's 125%. So what does that mean? If I have the purchase price plus 125% of the purchase price that I wrote over here, right? This is 100% of the purchase price, right? 100 over 100 is 1. So we get 100% of the purchase price plus 125%. We end up getting 225% of the purchase price. Okay? Not just 25% and not even 125%. 225%. So as you're reading questions like this, always be careful that you're aware that's what they're actually asking for and things like that. Okay? All right, so what we need to do is actually do that computation. I don't really want to do 225 times 456, but what I can do is take the 456, and actually let me change the color of the pen for this so that we're kind of clear what I'm doing. So I'm going to get 2 1/4 by, first of all, doubling the 456. And if I want to, I can actually add it and do the doubling. And getting 912. I can also take the 25%. I'm going to divide it by 2. So I'm going to get 228. Divide by 2 again. And I get 114. All right. And I'm going to take that 114. Add it to here because that's 200. I did the 200. Now this is 25%. 6, 2. So 1026 is 225% of the cost there. I still have to do a second part of the question, which is to add 8% to it. So at that point, I'm just going to multiply it by 0.08. Okay. 6 times 8 is 48. 4, 16, 0, 2. Wait, I lost my train of thought. 6 times 8 is 48. 4, 16, 0, 2. 8 times that, 8 times 0, 0. Drop down the 2. And 8 times that is 8. So I get 8208 is my tax, right? That I'm going to add into it. So I have to add the 1026. To the 8208. And we get 0.08, 6, that's 8, 0, 1. So we get 1108, and which means our answer is G. Okay. And we can live happily ever after that the computation actually came out all right. If we want, we can use estimation to solve this. Let me change the color again. And estimating this is not too bad. If we have the 456, right? And we know we need to double it and add the quarter to it as well. If we just round that to 450, right? We know that doubling it is just going to give us 900. Okay. We also know that a quarter of 450 is going to be like 125. So we're already at 1025, right? And adding the tax on is just 10% of that. It's another $100 or whatever. So that's going to give us like 1100 something. So we can get to G really fast. Again, E and F are nowhere near that, and H is too high as well. So if H was something like 1200, then we need to actually sweat out and do the calculation. But given all the other choices were far away, this could be theoretically a 15-second question if you wanted to. If nothing else, do the sanity check that way so that you're verifying, oh, the answer really kind of was G. All right, always do your estimation, your rounding, your figuring outable, just to try to make sense of it. And obviously, E and F are ridiculous. But the key for E and F, ruling them out, is knowing that it's not 125% or 25%, right? If you do 25%, first of all, the answer is not there. So you're like, oh, it's not 25%, right? It's not 456. Add 25% of that on, and then you're done, right? So that's what's going on there. All right, I believe I answered all the questions. I'm going to scroll through and see if there's anything missing. In the meantime, that means we got all of Form B done and all of Form A done. That's a lot of questions, and I'll work on some of the other, either the grid-ins or the SHSAT 9, or even maybe pick one of the ELA passages that my students had the most problems with. And there was a few. So in any event, please like, please subscribe. I hope you guys got something out of this, and peace out.